Thank you for joining us today at Superior Health Quality Alliance. I am Mary Funseth, and I'm a quality improvement advisor that works with the Patient and Family Advisory Council team. I want to bring you a patient story. This is going to be one of many segments that will be shared about a particular patient and how he has navigated healthcare, what is important to him, and who are his helpers. So let's get started by introducing you to Dan. Hi, Dan.
Hi there.
Thank you for telling your story for our viewers.
Thank you for having me.
Great. First, though, let's begin with a little bit of background about Dan. Dan is from the Midwest, and Dan is retired. So it's important to the story to understand what type of area you live in. So do you live in the urban or rural area?
I live in an urban area, or to be more specific, a first-ring suburb.
Okay. And because you live in that type of area, does it take you long to get to your more frequently visited provider?
My primary care provider is 2 minutes away, and almost all my other providers are 12 to 15 minutes away. So I have very good access.
Great, thank you. Do you drive yourself, or is someone else that comes to take you?
I drive myself.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about what you did for a living.
I was a public school teacher for 35 years on a secondary level.
So you've been retired for a bit of time.
My wife and I did a lot of world traveling. And I also participated in a lot of political activities and was employed to do political activities, including giving workshops on Medicare, workshops on the Affordable Care Act when it first came into existence, and so forth, before a variety of union groups.
You know, Dan, you really don't sound retired, but it sounds like you're using your time in retirement to do some very exciting things.
I had an office and secretary.
Yeah, very nice. So tell me, at this point in time, do you live alone or do you live with a companion?
Very happy to say that I live with my wife 60 years.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
That's a lot of wonderful years, I hope.
Yeah, we were 6 years old when we got married. It was in all
I
the
was
pictures.
wondering about that.
Yeah.
Great. And do you have other family that lives nearby?
I have one daughter who was about 20 or 25 minutes away, and another daughter lives in another Midwestern state.
Great.
We in this day and age, we Zoom as a family every Sunday at 4 o'clock, and we play some games, and guys talking to each other on the telephone and getting together for holidays and birthdays.
So it sounds like you have an engaging relationship with your family members then.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Do your children ever support you with your healthcare, whether it's doing chores or helping you with something, or even just going with you to listen at a provider's visit?
Yes, and my one daughter is a project manager for a healthcare system. And she's taught us how to be patients. I was at the doctor's, and he said, "I think you should go to the hospital. Do you want me to call an ambulance?" I said, "Oh, no, my daughter will drive me." And I called her, and she came in, but she said, "Don't do that again. Don't do that again." If the doctor says the ambulance is available, take an ambulance.
Yeah.
So I'll just say I was not feeling well, so I did not have the best decision making at that time. That has been ingrained in me. That happened about three years ago now.
Okay. Yeah, was that the first time that something so significant had happened to you?
Yes. Well, yes, and no. First time by ambulance, and but before that, I had a couple of other procedures. I have had both knees replaced, surgery. Then I had a pacemaker put in while we were out of town.
Oh, out of town.
Yes, and we were in another another city to meet our daughter. Not her city, but we kind of met halfway. Yeah, I ended up in the hospital getting a pacemaker.
You know, that had to be a difficult time, just partially because you're not with your normal provider, so people you do not know. And then on top of it, that must have been a heck of a lot of paperwork because of you were outside of your normal provider network.
When we left the hospital, my daughter made sure we got all of our paperwork. Saw a heart specialist who I never met before when I got back to St. Paul. This is like gold. The fact that you have what our daughter had ingrained in us, that our medical records belong. The medical records belong to the patient.
Absolutely.
And the patient has a right to have them. And the doctor said he would have gotten the records eventually, but the fact I was able to have them right then and there was very helpful.
Yeah, I appreciate the fact that you shared how your doctor really appreciated that, because that is important. The wait times can be very difficult, and decisions, may have come out differently. So let's move on to a little bit about a time in your life when you felt that your health was at its optimum, when you felt the best. And it may have been whether it was at age 6 when you married your wife, or perhaps, later in life, or maybe it was recently. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, skip the obvious 20s and 30s and even in 40s, okay. But between 50 and 75, it felt really, really good. And that's why we were able to travel so much. And not have any real concerns. The only restrictions I had while traveling was just to make sure I didn't get too tired. Yeah.
Sure. Got your rest.
Didn't
overdo.
I can remember exactly 10 years ago, because we were in Paris for our golden wedding anniversary. And we put on 15,000 steps. We kept track of how many steps each day. And usually right around 10,000, but one day we made 15,000.
Oh my, that's a lot of steps.
At our last bit of sightseeing for the day, I thought, well, we're only about a 15-minute walk from our hotel. I think we should take a taxi. I think 15,000 steps is enough, even though we could have been back in 15 or 20 minutes.
Dan, you're framing this very nicely, because my follow-up question to that was going to be, what was your favorite activity at the time of your optimum health? And let's just touch on that. You did share that world travel and travel itself was very important to you. And so at that time, at that age, like you were talking about in your, about in your age of 50s, what would you say your most biggest physical challenge at that time was? Because we're going to do a little comparison here.
The biggest challenge was my knees. So
okay.
I did have to eventually have both knees replaced. So I did the first one at 58, and then the second one about 7 years later.
So, I mean, the challenges weren't anything super significant. You knew when to sit down. You were able to get to 15,000 steps. That's really great. But you did know that you needed to rest and so on. So that, that in itself is a physical challenge. So now let's move ahead to a time when would you compare right now your physical status and your health status to be the same as in your 50s, better or worse?
I don't like to say worse, but not as good.
Okay.
Definitely not as good. So I 3 years, well, 3 years ago when I was in the hospital. I was in the hospital as a result of prostate cancer, urinary tract infection.
Mm-hmm.
They said, "Oh, by the way, you've had a stroke.
Wow.
And you have a spot on your lung."
Oh my.
I do. I said, yeah. And then they said, "Oh, and you have a fast heartbeat at times." I don't remember what the name of that was. I don't know. I feel basically okay. I got, when I got the urinary tract infection cleared up, I felt pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm on my records. I've had or have these,
Sure.
but I don't feel the on the urinary tract infection. I have to be very careful, and I time my activities. I prefer to be at home in the mornings if I can,
Mm-hmm.
and go out and about normal chores and stuff in the afternoon. So this makes life a whole lot easier.
Yeah. And you've had to make some adjustments. So I understand, and because I know you, I know that you're still very active. You're a busy guy, you're doing still a lot of stuff, but you really outlined that very nicely to share how you haven't had to make adjustments. You haven't, it sounds like you tried to do more of your things in the afternoon. Because as you mentioned, you'd like to stay in your home to deal with some of your physical challenges that come from the illnesses that you now have acquired over time.
I should mention my wife and I go walking every morning at 8 o'clock. Some other people, and I do use a cane. For walking.
Okay.
Just for stability, and I don't need it around our place. Prior to that, I would use a cane if we were going to be in an airport and do walking from the ticket counter to whatever gate number, usually the last one. It always. Then I started using a cane there, but I have it in the car. I have the cane in the car. I do use it every morning when we do our walking.
So if you forget your cane, what happens?
I hang on to my wife. She hangs on to me.
Okay. So you have to take it easy and you have to have that support there.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move on to your providers and your health system. And, you've really provided for us a picture of kind of the then and the now, and you've made some adjustments, but you're still Dan. How have your providers, respected you as Dan, knowing that you are a person who wants to be active, but you do need some equipment, you need some medicine, and you need some checkups? So tell me about those health team of providers that you have, and how have they helped you?
All of my providers, no exception, explain to me a procedure that I need, or why I need it, or if I have options. Do I want to do this, or do I want to do that? And they're always very careful in explaining to me, and I appreciate that. I feel like I'm being treated like a normal human being.
Sounds like it's a great respect.
Yeah, I like that.
So I think what we'll do is we will talk just a little bit about accessibility to your providers next. How often would you say you need to visit any type of provider, whether it be pharmacy or your primary care physician, a specialist, or any of the other ancillary staff, the staff that helps support your providers?
So I see my primary care every 3 months. Had a wonderful 2-week period a few months ago. I happened to see my oncologist and my urologist and my cardiologist all within a 2-week period. And they all said, see you in a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very happy. I was very happy with that. I'm involved in a special program. I haven't mentioned. I think it's called managed care or focused care or something like that. I have a RN that calls me every month, and we chat on the phone for about a half hour. And first couple of times we did it in person, but then the pandemic hit. So, and now we know each other so well. It's just as easy to do it by phone. She has her charts and my charts in front of her, and we check on if I'm due to have this or due to have that, or what was the result of your visit to this doctor provider, to that provider, and she's really there, very, very close, very close. She works with my primary care physician. He's the one that suggested I get involved in that program.
Okay.
My friend said, "How did you get into that?" I said, "Well, I don't know exactly what, but I think if you're old enough and you have enough things wrong with you, you'll be a candidate for that program." But I really like the program. I could put in a call to her right now.
Yeah, we can talk about having that as part of our next segment.
Okay.
So the last thing I want to ask you, it's really two questions. The first, and you feel free to blend them together or answer them separately. But what I'm looking for here is, a recommendation to a health system, and your provider. But is there something that if you could say one thing to recommend to a health system and or a provider, what would be the thing that you would recommend to them as the most important priority is how to work with their patient?
Explain what the problem is that you have. Explain options. Explain how the options. I think that's very, very important. You're treated with some dignity. That you're a rational human being and be able to provide help to us if you let us know what the comfort level is.
And then tell me and tell our viewers, what would be one recommendation you would give to a patient?
Be prepared for your visit. Come in with 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 questions that sure to ask them. I have the sheet right in front of me when I talk and then the doctor will say, well, is there anything else on your list? The doctor wants to accommodate all the questions that I have. And then, of course, be up to date on all procedures, vaccinations. I'm a strong believer in the COVID vaccinations we've had. There are 2 vaccinations plus our booster shot. Very, very important. But when are you scheduled next for a colonoscopy?
That's an important one.
That's something that my nurse, if she hasn't mentioned that, you're good for another couple of years, or whatever, or I might ask her if she hasn't mentioned. So that's good. Be prepared. I even write down when she calls me every month. Now I have a call coming up 2 days from now. I will have a list of things that I want to mention.
That sounds good. Well, I want to thank you so much for talking with me today and sharing your story with our viewers. We will be talking with you again on our next segment soon.
Okay, fine.
Thank you so much, Dan.
And thank you, Mary. Okay, bye.